Good morning, friends and beautiful artists. So today I am in the Valentine's mood, guys, and I'm going to be making this little card. I've shared these with you in the past. They're these Strathmore watercolor cards. They're really great quality. They're quite heavy and thick. I just love them. I've used them for years. And another thing I really love about them is these beautiful envelopes that they come with, and they've got this beautiful little edge on them that's kind of torn and handmade looking. So I really like these, and that's what I'm going to be painting on today. The design I'm using is one I kind of went back to years ago. I came up with this design probably 6 or 7 years ago, and it was just these fun little hearts. I put them on cards. I sold them on Amazon and to the local boutiques. And they were just always a favorite. I kept them in my line of greeting cards for years because everybody loved them. So that's what I'm going to be painting today. It's going to be a very wet and wet technique. So I'm going to be wetting the areas basically, and then going in and dropping in paint in various shades of reds and pinks. And today, as you know, my favorite brush is really this Princeton Velvetouch 8, but today I'm going to be using these Dugatos I tell you a lot about. If you're a beginner, this is a great little set. It's like $12, and you get anywhere from 10 to 13 of them, and they're a great little brush to start with if you don't want to invest in those Princetons. So I've got my 2 wells of water here. Actually, my wash water is already kind of pink. And then I've got my rinse water, and I will be using, I think today I'm going to go ahead and splurge and use my Winston paint. So I've got those here, and I think that's it. Let's go ahead and get started. So I've already drawn them out here. And actually what I'm going to do is I wanted to draw it out so you could kind of get a feel for the design. You can do these very easily in, whatever shapes you want the hearts to be in. I pointed mine all kind of coming out to the side, bottom left of the card. And then what I'm going to do so that my pencil doesn't show up too much under my paints is I'm just going to roll over it with this kneaded eraser. I do this a lot. I don't like to erase my drawings by scrubbing my paper because I feel like it kind of tears up that beautiful texture that is watercolor paper. So I tend to draw and then roll over it, and it just lightens it beautifully. So I can still see my pencil lines, but it's very faint. And a lot of times it won't even show up underneath my watercolors. So there you go. And I'm going to go ahead and go into my water. Let's see, I think I'm going to be using this beautiful opera pink. Let me just show you what that color is if you aren't familiar with that. It's a beautiful Winsor Newton color, and it's this hot fluorescent pink, which I love. And then, of course, as you all know, my very favorite is Quin Magenta. So there we go. And then I'll use some type of red. Let's see what this red is. I could use that. It's a little bit warm for me. I might actually go into my MeiLang paints. I think that's what I'll do, and use their Madder Rose. So as you know, this is another beginner set. If you guys are beginners and don't want to, again, invest in all these Winsor Newton paints, this little MeiLang set by Paul Rubens is absolutely wonderful. This is the larger set, so I have all these wonderful iridescents, but you can get the smaller 36 set, and I'll find those links for you and get those both in the description. So let's go ahead. I think that's going to be my color palette. The other thing I would like to invite you to do is wet your brush after you choose your color palette you're going to use, and then just wet your brush and pull out that paint so you can see all the different values, meaning you've got your dark value here, and then you've got kind of your mid value, and then you go into this very, very light value. And we want to make sure in these balloons we try and get a lot of these different values in here to keep it interesting, because if everything was just the exact same value, it would look a little flat and boring. Still not sure if I'll use that red or not. We'll see. It's a little bit warmer than the rest of my color palette, so I think I will end up using the rose red from MeiLang. But you might have a permanent rose or permanent, well, permanent rose would probably be good in Winsor Newton. And there you go. So I've got my dark value, kind of a mid value tone, and then my lightest value. And what I want to do is just use all of those values throughout my little composition here for some really depth and interest. All right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start up in my right hand corner here. Let me just move my palette out and set down my Winsor Newton palette. And then I'm going to go in and start dropping in color. Now I also, because these are balloons, I'm going to leave some white spaces to maybe look like a bit of shine. And if you aren't able to do that, or you forget while you're painting, you can always go in and lift out, and I'll show you that. Also, I'm not real worried about using a little bit more water in these because I want this to be quite washy. So let me go into my, let's go into our Quin Magenta here. And I'm going to start tapping in. And just let it spread on its own. It's going to go wherever you have water. And keep it kind of washy and flowy like I am here. Now you have to work fast when you're using this wet and wet, because it does, as soon as it starts drying, you get a different effect. And I'm really trying to go for that wet and wet. But look at that beautiful color. I tell you guys, I continue to be obsessed with Quin Magenta. And then I might drop in some darker value here and there. You could even blow on this and let it kind of spread around. I'm just softening that edge there. Now, like I just did, I kind of did that intentionally so I could show you. If you end up looking at it and say, oh my gosh, I forgot the white space, just go in with a dry brush, clean brush, and lift out like that, okay? So just wet your brush, pat it off, and then create some white spaces in there. It's pretty easy. We might even go in with some water, just clean water, and let that create some fun little textures. So look at how beautiful that is. Now I'm going to let that dry, and I'm going to go to my second one. I don't want to work on a balloon that's right next to that one. So I'm going to move on down here and go into this one, and I think I will use a little bit more of a red. And I'm going to wet all of this. And normally I tell you, you know, make sure you've just got this shine, no puddles, but you know what? I think actually here I'd be okay with a little bit of puddling, and I'm actually even going to use that warmer red. Just for some fun and interest. And then I'm dropping in my color, and I love that it's kind of puddling around, which normally, as you know, I tell you no puddles, mostly just because for a beginner, puddles are really hard. You don't have any control, but here it's okay that we don't have control because we're just creating something really fun here. So now I'm going in, I'm dropping in some other values, and look how pretty that is. Just letting the paint kind of do its thing. Now, if I wanted to, I could go in and lift out a little bit of white space by just drawing off my brush. There we go. And maybe I even want to go in and darken some of these little edges a little. So I'll pick up some more of my paint and just drop it in there. There you go. Look how fun and interesting. And that's the main thing we want to do here is we want this washy look. We don't just want one heart with all the exact same color. I love, this is an instance where I'm perfectly fine with these blooms. I think that's really interesting. Let's do this little heart over here. So I'm going to wet that. And let's see, what color should we do that one? Let's try the Opera Rose, which, be careful, Opera Rose is crazy, crazy neon. So just be kind of careful with it. Now I've got an awful lot of water there. So I'm just going to soak up some of that with a thirsty brush here. And then go back in. Tap in, let that kind of wash around, and there we go. Let's see, let's do, these still have to dry. And that's the only thing about working really wet and wet is you really have to let them dry before you go in with another color. How about we do this one here? Let's see, what color should we do that one? I think I'm going to go in with my Rose Madder. Oh, you know what? Let's get it wet first. Oh, and I've got a little bit of pink. That Opera Rose is really wanting to get in here, isn't it? That's okay. That doesn't bother me. It'll just mix with the red that I'm going to put in here. Okay, and then go in and pick up that rose red. Let's see, let's find a, okay. And I'm actually going to do this in just a little bit lighter value. There we go. Okay, how's that look? Drop in a little bit of color here and there. And I might even tilt it or blow it around like that. Kind of gives a fun effect. All right, let's go on to our next one. How about we try this little tiny one? I think I'm going to, I want this color to be kind of carried throughout. So I feel like actually that color I'm going to use on this one. And then maybe this Quin Magenta we'll use right here. So let me grab some of that on my, oh, you know what, let's get it wet first. There we go. This was definitely, I must have carried, I used to change out my cards every year for all the holidays that I sold. But this one, I would have people send me emails and ask me for it. And it actually wasn't just for Valentine's. It became like a birthday card. It became all kinds of stuff. So it was really a fun little design that I just really did on a whim. But it kind of shows you sometimes when you're just really playing that can be your best work sometimes. Now, if you notice here, look at this dark value I put in there. Okay, so we want to do that occasionally, so we're creating this fun interest. And if you wanted to pick up a little bit of white out of that one, you can do that. We could even still go in here and pick up some paint. You can do that with a thirsty brush, meaning just a damp brush, for quite a while on a lot of your paintings. Some colors lift better, but this one's doing pretty well. So let's go in and let's see. I think I'm going to go around these hearts that are here. I'm just going to erase this. I have to be kind of careful here because I don't want those little eraser pieces to go into my wet paint. Okay, so let's paint that heart. Let's see, what color should we do that one? I think I will do that one. Boy, I have so many fun choices here. Let's see what color we've got here. That's a real true red. And you know what, we could actually, let's go with that. Let's go with that true red. Okay, and this time I'm going to go in wet on dry just to give it a little bit different look. There we go. And I kind of want it to cover over the balloons underneath it. So look how vibrant that is, and very defined line. Wet on wet is going to have very perfect detailed lines, but look how beautiful that just popped right out in front, didn't it? Now, if I wanted to go in and lift a little bit, I'm going to dry off my brush and pick it up. Wash and rinse, dry off my brush, and pick up some paint. There you go. So we've got this one here that I think I was going to do. We could do this opera rose here. I think that might be pretty. Let's go ahead and go into that. I'm always so hesitant in using that because it's just such a bright pink. Let's pick up a little bit more. It's like neon, and some people are going to really like that, and others are going to be like, my gosh, that is shocking, right? I'm a real pink girl, so I love me some pink. So there you go. The other thing, now I feel like it's a little off balance as far as composition and a lot of heaviness up here, so I'm going to go in and just darken this one as far as value. Meaning I'm going to use about 80% pigment, 20% water. Because otherwise it just feels kind of lopsided up there. There we go. So that draws the eye down there. Otherwise, what I felt like was happening is my eye was kind of just getting up here and getting stuck. There we go. So those are quite easy and fun, aren't they? And for me, you guys, this is why I love watercolor so much. All these beautiful little effects and dark values and light values, and so much fun. So let's grab a pen. I'm just going to use this micron pen. Actually, I may not use that because it's not quite big enough. I'm just going to use a regular good old zebra pen. And you can use any pens, just make sure, of course, that they're waterproof, and start drawing in some of these strings. Oh, you know what? We have one more heart back here. That's funny. Didn't even see it. So just bringing, and this too, by doing these little lines, it brings a little bit of detail into the painting. So I'll draw those lines. Well, I could probably do it now. Wanted to make sure it was dry. There we go. Look how fun, what a fun, easy little card. And we'll just do a little bow. Very simple, just fun. And then I have one more heart here we used to need to do that I kind of forgot about down there. I think I want to bring this red color down here. Again, I keep feeling like my eye is, which it is a focal point. So my eye keeps going there and then it just stops. So I want to bring that color down here so my eye is moving around. So I'm going to go back into that color again, but I think I'll go just a little bit lighter. And I want to tuck it behind this other balloon here. I almost said flower. And that one too. So I'm using a little bit of both the MeiLang and Winsor Newton. You know, I grew up using Winsor Newton, and in college that's always what, when we got our list of supplies for a class, that was the go-to. But guys, to be honest, I just can't afford to paint with that every day. So that's why I like these MeiLangs. They've got really beautiful colors. And I've tried all kinds of different student grade, but I can't say enough about those MeiLangs. And I'll have that link for you in the description if you want to give them a try. So once this dries, since this little tiny balloon is over the top of that one, I need to draw that line coming down, but can't do that till this dries. So there you go. I think I'm pretty much done. You can always add in more if you want. And then if you have good writing, you can write Happy Valentine's Day. I'm not a calligrapher, you guys, so you do not want to see my writing. But that's basically it. If you wanted, you could go around some of these with maybe some pen. I'll show you what that looks like. Something like that. You could write, I think I did another version of this card and I wrote I love you on the balloon. So really up to you. You could add all kinds of fun things. And when I add in pen, I'll tell you, I a lot of times do not, I kind of go outside the line and just make it fun. So there's some more detail for you. If you are one of those detail people, it's like, oh man, this is so washy. I need some structure here. Just take your pen. Normally I'd use a micron pen, but I don't have my micron pen here. Let me just outline this one and make it interesting. I, for years, painted and I would always run my flowers. I'd make them huge on my painting and have them run off the page. I just love that look. So there you go. Let's see if I can get this one here. It's still kind of wet and I still need that line, but can't do it because my heart is wet. And there you go. Isn't that adorable? What a fun little piece to give to people. All right, you guys, that's it. Have fun with this. I'm also going to, tomorrow, I'm going to be painting another card that I did about 7 years ago. It was a little tree with little hearts on it, and that was really fun. So I'm going to be sharing that with you tomorrow, but for today, have fun with this. And I will also list these Strathmore cards, which I've also used for years and years and years. They're so wonderful. I think you'll enjoy them. And let me know if you have any questions. I'll see you soon. Thanks for being here in our little community.